BYU, number 8 in the country, travels to good old Lubbock, Texas to face off against the Texas Tech Red Raiders, number 9 in the country, at an 11 a.m. kick. The fact that this is not a night game, big noon kickoff, gets another victim because this game should be a night game. Lubbock, Texas is going to be having their biggest game in over a decade, you could make an argument. I mean, this is one of their more high-profile games. Everyone's coming into town. You have College Game Day, Big Noon Kickoff, the Fall Don't Lie Tour. Everyone is in town for Texas Tech. And this is, if I were to give this a theme, if I were to give this a projection of what this game means, this is their defining moment if you're Texas Tech. If you do not let BYU, the undefeated team, one of, I believe, 4 or 5 teams that are left to be undefeated in the FBS, this is your defining moment. You are the team that has put in so much investment into your program, basically bought a roster. Shout out to Cody Campbell. This is your moment. Regardless of what we're going to talk about with the statistics and how these teams actually match up between each other, you know, this is Texas Tech's opportunity on the national stage to really solidify themselves with all the recruiting momentum, all the money, all the talk about what Texas Tech could be as we've unlocked this treasure chest of millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. This is the moment of the first step of them becoming not just the top end, the tier 1 Big 12 teams, but the upper echelon of top teams in the country. Because Texas Tech's dealt with a ton of injuries, BYU included. Both of these teams, to my understanding, no, BYU's coming off of a bye. Texas Tech's coming off of a road win against Kansas State, a Kansas State team that has actually bounced back for the midpoint of the season. They've actually done a really good job, so I take that win as quite impressive, while BYU obviously is coming off of their win against Iowa State, then going into a bye. And I say all that talk about this is their moment. This is the keystone spot. This is the milestone for Texas Tech to really step up. I mean, they had their moment against Utah on the road, and a lot of people were respecting Texas Tech. Some people were throwing them in the top 5 in the entire country at the time. But I think it's a different level when you're more than likely going to have recruits arrive at this game. You're going to be able to showcase the environment of Lubbock, Texas. Those tortillas better be flying. I don't care what the fines are. Actually, I've not gotten a little bit of a heartbeat on that one. I don't know if they still do that, but throw the tortillas. Showcase what Texas Tech is against the number 8 team in the country. Now, Texas Tech is favored by 10.5 points, but recruits aren't going to think about that. People aren't going to think about that. The narrative of Texas Tech football isn't really going to care about that unless you're just being... I'm talking a lot about Texas Tech because I feel like there's a lot of pressure for them to have this moment, because if they lose at home with everyone watching against a BYU program that's been feisty, that has played way above their pay grade, has been incredibly, dynamic. The rushing attack's been great. LJ Martin's been fantastic. Their true freshman quarterback has been great. Number 47, Bachmeier, ridiculous jersey number, has been playing great. And if you let that bubble pop of all that hype and that momentum, people begin to question, can you really buy a roster? Can you really buy your way into an upper echelon college football team? So there's a lot of pressure on both sides, where you have BYU kind of working with house money here. They get to come off of a bye. They get to walk into Lubbock. They get to walk into a team that's going to have all this hype, all this news and stories around them. And BYU gets to play around and say, all right, if we win the game, we get to burst their bubble. And then on the flip side, if we lose, we're still only one conference loss in a Big 12 that is going to beat each other up. We just have to finish the job for the rest of the year. Now let's talk about the actual matchup between BYU and Tech. Texas Tech, top 10 defense in the entire country. It's important to note they're number 1 against the run. BYU is a top 15 team running the ball. If you tell me what the scores are in terms of who ran the ball better than the other, I'm probably going to have a fair idea of who's going to win that game. Both of these teams are fantastic when we're talking about third down and defensively really being able to get a team off the field. And I think that's very important when we're talking about two very physical teams. I'm not expecting BYU to get just torched through the air. I'm not expecting Texas Tech to get torched defensively whatsoever. And so when we're looking at this matchup, who's going to get people off the field the most, and especially with how they play football on both sides, I really do think this is going to be a limited possessions type of game. How efficient can each team be? And though we have BYU coming off of a bye, and then they also have two of their returning stars, I believe both defensively after the bye week, getting a little bit more healthy. They're working with house money. They're the doubted team. They continue to be undervalued by everyone in the college football public. I'm still picking Texas Tech to win, and this is for a couple of reasons. I really do love this Texas Tech front seven. I do think they're going to stop the strength of this BYU offense, which has been their rushing attack. I think they have been one of the most physical teams in the entire country. As much as we saw Arizona State find a ton of success with Levitt and Jordan Tyson, I just don't think they have that dynamic of a playmaker and that quarterback duo to be able to exploit this Texas Tech defense. And even then, they still struggled in the red zone. I don't expect BYU's offense to be dynamic enough to not only get to the red zone, but make 3 points turn into 7. I do trust with Baron Morton. I keep saying Brennan because of how the letters look on the page. I keep going to Brennan, but Baron Morton, the quarterback for Texas Tech, returned, played fantastic against Kansas State. Kansas State's defense, obviously not great, but a perfect opportunity to tune yourself up as you're about to face off against a relatively good BYU defense. And I understand everyone's been projecting BYU's regression and expecting BYU at some point to fall off. If they're able to get a win like this, I mean, top 7, top 6 team in the country. I mean, this BYU team would be incredibly good and easily the favorite to win the Big 12. And you really do start to have some serious questions about Texas Tech. I really do think we also have the dynamic here of the team that wants it versus the team that needs it, Tech being the team that needs it. I'm going to pick Texas Tech. We're going to go with a score of 31-20. BYU gets a ton of field goals here, and I think Texas Tech finds a way to win. They're going to have one field goal and about, 4 touchdowns. Yeah. Texas Tech wins the game of the week, and they will move on, and I think they're going to make the college football playoff.